So welcome to the session, the annual session for the Adult Learner Writing Contest. This is something that we've been doing. I think this is our 9th year of the Adult Learner Writing Contest. So I'm very happy that some of the winners are here. But more importantly, I'm happy that people continue to, oh, here's James. More importantly, I'm happy that people continue to participate. They take the risk of submitting work, right? And having other people read it and be like, yeah, that's good. Or like, oh, that's not as interesting as the other thing, right? So compositional risk is like a real thing. So I really applaud our learners year in and year out for taking the risk and submitting it. And I want to thank all of you as tutors and teachers that also help your students in the process, either making them aware of it or supporting them during the process and kind of like giving them the encouragement and the confidence that they need to submit. So I'm hoping next year we have just as many submissions, and I encourage you to encourage your students. We will be sending out the certificates and the checks, the loot. We'll be sending that out soon. And then sometime over the summer, I'm going to put it together as a PDF, and we'll make the PDF downloadable. And for students and and their teachers that won, we'll actually send the printed copy of it, right? Because PDF's convenient, but it's nice to have the printed copy of it, right? And both Andrea and Georgina are previous winners, right? It's nice to have the printed copy of the magazine, right? To be like, this is my work, right? And you can show it to other people. This session will be archived on YouTube. And near the end of the session, I'll drop in the link for the PD certificate. So what I'd like to do is have the winners read their work in the categories. And then after they've all read, open the floor to them about questions about being a writer, right? What they've learned about being a writer. They can say a few things about their piece, but I'd like to get them all a chance to read and then open the floor for questions. So does that make sense, to make sure that nobody's shortchanged in terms of their time? So we have 5 categories every year. We have memoir, nonfiction, poetry, fiction, and photography. Not surprisingly, the biggest categories every year is memoir and poetry, right? I think this is something that people work on in class. Nonfiction is usually third, and then fiction is almost always the smallest, right? Because that's really thinking outside the box, right? You're coming up with a whole new story. And then photography, we usually have like, 9 or 10 photographs submitted every year. So, all right. So what I'd like to start with is memoir. And we have one of the memoir winners here, Georgina Alzaga. So Georgina, do you want to talk about your piece and then read it? And I'm going to put it up on the screen so people can also follow along as you read it.
Yes, thank you so much. So I wrote this memoir about the woman who impacted my life. And I talk about 4 women in my life. There were my grandmothers and my nana and my mom. And just remember kind of memories and really great moments that I enjoyed a lot with them. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to say something about my life.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Is this big enough for people to read? I know that people are viewing it on different screens, but this is a good size. Okay. All right, great. So then, Georgina, why don't you take it away?
So the woman who impacted my life. There are 4 women who impacted my life since I was a child. They were, they are, and they will be part of my life forever. They are my 2 grandmothers, my nana and my mom. Cuquita, she was my father's mother, a widow and homemaker with 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl. My father was her baby, and she didn't have a house, so she moved in with her daughter in a big and beautiful house with a pool, many rooms, and a garden. When my aunt had parties at her home, my Cuquita or Abuelita Cuquita, or special name for her, cooked special meals for me, not complicated or delicatessen, totally opposite. Meanwhile, other guests ate delicious and expensive meals such as caviar, etc. My coquita had the time and patience to cook beans and prepare coffee with milk for me. Also, she cooked delicious biscuits that we ate with strawberry jelly and coffee. Even in her daughter's house, she worked hard. She came to my home during weekends, talked with hours with my mom, ate slowly in small portions of food. Then my mom played old records or cassettes with her favorite songs. My abuelita shared memories about relatives, grandfather, father, and I love to see how she laughed because she did not do it frequently. Sometimes my mom invite her to drink tequila or beer. They use a tequila glass that in Spanish we call caballito, and that has the perfect size of measures too. After that, they have conversations floated and they were laughing together, and they were drunk and they were happy and they have a relaxing time, and just for a while they forgot their problems. Rosita, she was my mother's mom. She was born in a small township near Guadalajara until she left her family and moved to Mexico City. She lived her life as a single mother who had three daughters but lost the youngest when she was very little. My mom and my aunt lived with their grandparents. My grandmother moved to Los Angeles and later she lived with my aunt, her second daughter. My mom did not want to leave Guadalajara. My abuelita Rosita visit us almost every summer, and I was the perfect time to travel around Chapala in Jalisco, Mexico City, Guadalajara, where she had two sisters. I remember spending our long summer, 3 months in Cuernavaca, where I played with my cousins, nieces, and nephews. It was a joyful and relaxing time. She always had gifts, but not just for me, my mom, and my sisters, but also for aunts, cousins, nephews, etc. One of my aunts called her our baby Jesus, and I remember her generosity all the time. She had different jobs during her life. She worked as a teacher when she was young, and after that, she was a dressmaker and she made tons of beautiful dresses. I keep some of dresses that she made for me. In addition to all these jobs, she was a nana. She gave us a small advice. She gave us a small advice, but with a lot of things inside. You could discover many messages. And one day I was sad because my niece and my nephews couldn't come home and visit us as usual during weekends. And she told me, go outside and enjoy yourself. Life is short and you don't need to wait for anybody. Do not depend on someone to be happy. Until today, I remember her words and apply her wise advice. I could say she was a woman with few words, but inside those words has a deep message. Nana or Nanny, a beautiful woman who was with me since I was born. She came home when my older sister was 1 year old. She was single and never had her own babies. She told us that she never got married because she was the little one in her family, and in her family, the tradition was that she must be with her parents until they die. All traditions are sometimes meaningless, but it was real. I still remember her smile, and I am never going to forget her delicious meals, such as enchiladas, Mexican food, sopes, soup, rice, beans, pozole, and Mexican dishes and Mexican candies, such as pinole, that made with roast corn, sugar or piloncillo, cinnamon, and then all ingredients which she pulverized into a fine dust over her stuff. My nana invited me to go to her house during the weekends, and I remember eating roast chicken, tacos al pastor, and tepache, Mexican bread, and quail eggs. Thank you for your generosity, for giving me lots of love like a real mom, and beautiful memories that I keep until today and I share with my kids. And of course, my mom, a beautiful widow woman. And my father died when I was 7 years old, and she was only 33 years old. I remember how hard she worked, give us an education, a safe place to live, and all the things that we need. It was a huge responsibility to take care of 3 girls. I think she suffered being the only one to fill 2 roles, a mother and father. At the same time, she was proud to do all the things that she desired in life by herself. I remember how she enjoyed dancing, laughing, and singing, and I am so proud of my super mom. You are an example of perseverance, resilience, and dedication. Thank you is a short word to express how grateful I am to be your daughter. I have learned many lessons from this woman who worked together in complicated situations. I recognize they were smart, brave, strong, taking care of others, generosity and love, and they supported their families. They worked hard, and I remember their legacy. They are an extraordinary example of resilience and my beautiful treasures that I keep until now and I share with my kids and friends.
All right,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Georgina. So, uh, any thoughts from the audience about this particular piece? Anybody want to share anything about this piece that Georgina just shared with us? Other than getting claps, you're getting electronic claps.
Yeah,
Can I say something?
Sure, sure.
I fell in love with this beautiful memoir. Congratulations. And I love the word you use for describe all these women in your life. And they did with you an excellent work. That the woman your mom raised is an excellent friend and mother. Congratulations.
Yeah, I
Thank
agree.
you.
And Georgina, in the chat, lots of people are saying how touching and beautiful and powerful it was. So it's very, very great. So
Thank you so much.
Can
All
I
right.
say something? I'm sorry.
Sure, yep.
Yes. So, first of all, congratulations. That was very, very nice. Very thoughtful about your mom and that special person. But I guess to be successful in life, you always need, or it's always great to have someone um, to support you and to be on your side and saying that no matter what, you're doing such a great work, you're working so hard, you're a worthy person. So, thinking of those wonderful mothers out there that they do the best for their kids. And that's why, a lot of person, especially you, Georgina, like you, they make you feel the person you are right now. So congratulations.
Right. And
Thank you so much.
thanks everybody for sharing. So, and this is one of the reasons that I think the learner writing contest is important, right? Because we write to have an audience, right? Sometimes we write in our journals, sometimes we write in our diaries, and that's an important part of writing too, but we write for an audience, and it's really important for us to give an audience to these adult learners and give them a chance that way. So later on, we'll be able to ask Georgina, if we have time, kind of questions about her process and what it is about being a writer. The next person I'd like to invite to read is James Dorsius. This is in the nonfiction category. James, are you there? See, James is here. James, can you unmute yourself? Hi, James. James, if you're speaking, I can't hear you. All right, so maybe while we're working to try to get James's audio worked out. So the second category is nonfiction. And one of the nonfiction winners is Janet Wren. I don't think Janet, are you here? Yeah, so Janet's here, but she can't read her piece this morning, but so she's gonna have Catherine read it for us. So Janet, do you want to say anything about the piece before Catherine reads it for you?
Yes. Yes, that's the first time Catherine with us to visit the Princeton Greenway Meadow Park, and gave us a good memory. And after that, I love the park very much and go to there very often. And especially they have the poems everywhere on the trail. And it's a good education if you get a work. Yes.
Okay, thanks. And Janet's not able to read today, so Catherine is going to read for her.
Okay, thank you very much. Greenway Meadows Park. The Greenway Meadows Park is on Rosedale Road in Princeton. Since I have visited and totally amazed by its beautiful view, cozy atmosphere, and its character is different from a normal park. As I stepped into the entry, a group of people caught my eyes. They did Tai Chi slowly and carefully in an open space on a side. On the other side, it's a children's playground and a soccer field. Across the main road was a trail by an alley of big trees. And I saw some poems that were framed inside and set up on both sides of the trail. I love poems, but putting them on display in that way and making the walkers read them was the first time. That made me so curious and interested. The poems were written by Shakespeare, Mary Oliver, and other poets. It was about nature, seasons, children, and many different things. I read most of the poems and took pictures so that I could enjoy reading them at home. Along walking the path to the hill and standing at the highest point of the park, I saw Sauerland Mountain was clearly in the distance behind Princeton downtown. On the slope of the hill was a green meadow, wild flowers scattered everywhere, and the bees hummed busily around them. I sat down on a wood bench after reading a poem that was directly facing me and closed my eyes gently to let my whole body merge into the beautiful nature like meditation. The fragrance of the flowers and the scent of freshly cut grass surrounded me. The bright sunshine embraced me, and the birds sang merrily to me. Happiness was suddenly stirring in my heart, and it made my day. I had known Princeton for a long time because it's a world-famous university. But for now, I was among its beauty and cultural class with my own experience to touch and feel. I read the history about the park. It used to be a vacant land, and it was saved by a nonprofit organization and then became a park. The organization did a creative job like a masterpiece of art. The different trees, the meadow, the wildflowers, the wood benches, the poems, and the views. They were all collected to be one in harmony and entertained its visitors. I like one of the poems, Vacant Land, which said, I simply didn't understand why they would call this vacant land. I counted 10 species of butterflies, 100 species of wild birds, a dozen different kinds of wildflowers. And that is the Greenway Meadows Park at Princeton. It is an oasis full of grace.
All right, thanks for reading that, Catherine. And then do you want to read, can you read the poem on the photo?
Sure. In the 8th month, butterflies come in pairs over the grass in the West Garden. These smite my heart. I sit down worrying and youth passes away. When eventually you would come down from the Three Gorges, please let me know ahead of time. I will meet you no matter how far, even all the way to Long Wind Sand.
All right, thanks, Catherine. And thanks for submitting that piece, Janet.
Thank you.
Yes, any thoughts on the Greenway Meadows Park piece? Yeah, Georgina?
Yeah, I just want to add that I discovered this place by mistake. And I was looking for other park near Princeton. And one day I just saw that place. I said, what is that place? And after that, I went with my kids. I told my friends and Catherine, oh, this place is beautiful. And after that, we went over there and we enjoy. We have a really great time together, remember, with our kids and a lot of women over there talking about different things. It was really nice experience.
Yeah. One of the things, the line between memoir and nonfiction is kind of fuzzy, right? But I think here this did fit very well in the nonfiction category because it was so much about the park itself, right? She talked about her own experience there, but what we liked it as a reviewer, as the set of reviewers, is how rich her description was of the park itself, right? And of feeling at the park. So
Can I add something, Janet?
Yeah.
Janet, congratulations. You makes me feel like I was there in the park with you. The description you give it to us when your story, your article, congratulations, your description make me feel like I'm there. I was there. I feel everything.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I do want to add to that if
Sure.
I can. I know this park really well. I'm here several times a week because my daughter plays soccer there. And I often walk through the park on all the different paths there. I've read those poems that you mentioned. I often think that I am alone, like kind of, just appreciating how special this place is. And I just was really captured by how well you describe it. I was nodding along as it was being read, going, yes, that's so true. Like you really just, the description and the way you really kind of honor the park was so spot on. And as someone who's been there many, many times, I really applaud you. I think you just did a fantastic job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And reading that piece and hearing it again makes me think we should have more places with poems there, right? Not just parks, but there's more places there should be poetry posted, right? I mean, street corners and bus stops. There's like lots of places where we would enhance our experience by having poetry out there. So thanks, Janet, for sharing that piece. It clearly has found an audience. All right, James, you with us? I see that you're unmuted. Maybe can you use the chat to let me know if you're speaking? All right, we'll come back to James hopefully that will work out. So then the other category that we have a winner here from is poetry, and this is also a very, very popular category, which I'm glad because I write poetry myself. And so Andrea, who's a past winner, like Georgina, is going to be here to read her poem. And let me get this on the screen. All right, this is too small.
It's fine. You can read it.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody else can read it too.
Okay.
All right, is that good size, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so then go ahead, Andrea.
Okay, happy trails. I close my eyes and I can see my mom lean on the door. Her heart is squeezed. I leave soon. Happy trails when tears. It's better to hurry up when I'm certain future and a suitcase full of hope. You raise me with faith and many memories, where the beach reminds me of your presence. A very long journey, a new world, a family, new memories, but your image was recorded when a happy trails. I know I will get back home. The place that remains inside my heart, that I see every time when I close my eyes. Never give up.
All right. Thank you, Andrea. All right. So thoughts on Andrea's piece? And I'll leave the poem up so people can see it. AJ, do you want to say anything about this piece?
Well, first, thank you for having me today. And I'm really glad. I'm really pleased to be here receiving this honor. Thank you, my tutors, my teachers, because without them, I couldn't do anything, reading or writing. I have been studying for 3 years. I have been in this country for almost 22 years. I dedicate this poem for all these people who emigrate to this country or any other country, and for any circumstances you can meet with your family, but you miss them so much. So I don't want to lose. I hope one day I can meet I met my family again. I have not seen them for almost 22 years. In Costa Rica, I mean, I have my family here, my husband and my wonderful kids, and I hope to meet my family again in Costa Rica, my siblings, and unfortunately, my mom passed away in 2017. So most of my piece of words is dedicated to her and my siblings.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Andrea. You know, writing's always a compositional risk, but poetry even more so, right? Because you're really taking advantage of the language and experimenting and sometimes really putting ourselves out there, right? And making yourself open. So, you know, folks in the chat are letting us know, you know, how moving it was and beautiful and touching it was. So, all right. All right, any other thoughts on Andrea's piece? All right, so you'll be able to see it and read it in the magazine. Andrea, I think, do you want to say a word about like, no, we'll say this later when I'm talking more generally about writing, but joining the contest. Yeah, Georgina?
I was asking, what is the girl that you are? I mean, you are which girl in the picture?
Yeah.
I was the girl who was wearing the headband next to the other girl with the yellow dress.
So this one here.
My
Yeah.
mom and my other siblings behind me. He was my father behind me, my older sister, and we are celebrating a happy birthday for my youngest sister, Gavi. So this picture have like a 32 years, most the 32 years.
Wow. Great. Great. All right. Thanks. So, so we have another poet here. So Janet also won in the poetry. So let me call her poem up to the screen. Another nature poem or another piece of nature writing. Let me make this a little bit bigger. And Catherine's going to read this one too. So Janet, do you want to say anything about this piece?
Yeah, that's the maple tree, the American maple tree. As the first time come to America is in the winter, it's so cold. And after that, normally after breakfast, I get out work, and I saw many trees standing on the wood and with red buds. And I was so excited, and gave the red bus gave me a hope and a sense is the spring is coming. And I don't know the name of the trees, and after that I asked a friend. She said, "Oh, this is an American tree. It's not in my country. We didn't saw it." Yeah, this is a tree become my favorite tree after that. I like the nature very much.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Janet, for that background. I think Catherine's going to read the poem now.
Okay. The maple tree. After a long, cold winter, spring is coming. The air is sweet. The lawn is getting soft, and the woods are becoming greener. I see many kinds of trees standing in the woods, on the street curbs, And in the parks, they're strong, big, and tall, with countless red buds on the branches, swaying with the wind. As the sun slowly rises, morning dew glistens like pearls, melting the buds into ruby red like girls blushing, with perfect bold lips flirting and giggling with happy sound, rippling in the fresh air of early spring. I haven't seen these trees in my country. They're called American maple, blooming everywhere in spring, blocking the sun in summer, changing the color in fall, showing their strength in winter. They are passionate about season change. They desire to display their beauty. They give me joy and pleasure by bringing nature near and dear, triggering my heart to cheer.
Right, and you can see the photos here.
Thank you, cousin. Thank
All
you.
right. So, any thoughts on the maple tree?
You know, I mean, I just couldn't believe the imagery that she used in this poem. You know, the idea of the glistening dew melting into pearls, becoming ruby red. All that was Janet. I didn't say any of that stuff, you know, and just loved the way she put that together. By the way, Janet is a poet in her own language. So I think that makes a big difference about how she then translates that idea of poetry into English poems as well.
Certainly. I love the line about them being passionate about season change, right? And so that the trees aren't simply passive or just going along, you know, with nature's cycle, but like the trees are like, yeah, it's summer. Yeah, it's fall. Yeah, it's winter. Like, you know, they're really leaning into it. So thanks, Janet. Any
Yeah.
other thoughts
Thank
on?
you. Thank you.
Yeah, and like Janet say, in our countries, it's not like we don't see how different the seasons are. So it is like a gifts that we, just move your head for this way and the other way. You can see beautiful trees and places and landscapes. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Janet.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I've lived in California twice and it was not for me. I need to be in the Northeast because I am also passionate about season change. I like the tree, I like the colors, I like the spring, I like all the seasons. So thanks, Janet. So James, it
you.
looks like maybe you figured your audio out. I'm hoping. I see you on screen. I'm hoping your audio is fixed. Okay. All right. So is anybody here James's teacher or tutor? Because if not, James, if your audio is not working, should I read your piece for you? And then people could respond in the chat. I'm not sure if he can hear me, so I'm going to type in the chat to James.
Hello.
Oh, hi, James, you're there.
Okay.
Great. All right. So James is one of the winners in our nonfiction category. So James, I'm going to put your piece on the screen. Do you want to talk about your piece first?
I'm gonna read it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about earthquake. I'm gonna read my story is about earthquake. Life is the most important thing that we can get from God. That's why it is very difficult to accept the departure of a person who could even be one of our relatives. Among all that could bring us so are natural disasters. These natural disasters are landslides, tsunami, cyclones, hurricanes, volcanoes, and earthquakes. I'm now going to talk about an earthquake that killed many people in my country. An earthquake is a violent and abrupt shaking of the ground caused by movement between tectonic plates along a force line in the Earth's crust. Earthquakes can result in the ground shaking, soil liquefaction, landslides, fissures, avalanches, fires, and tsunamis. In Haiti, there are many construction standards that are not inspected. This is the reason why earthquakes have caused a lot of damage. This happens in the poor countries because there is not enough financial support to build according.
Oops, James, we lost your audio again. And I'm afraid he might be frozen. Oh, we lost him. All right. Oh no, you're James, you back?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so your audio dropped out.
Yes.
So why don't you start at the saddest event?
The saddest event was the earthquake of January 12, 2010. This catastrophe killed millions of Asian people. That earthquake hit at 4:53 p.m., some 25 kilometers southwest of Port-au-Prince. The initial shock registered at magnitude of 7.0 and was soon followed by two aftershocks of magnitude of 5.9 and 5.5. More aftershocks occurred in the following hours. The country had not been hit by an earthquake of such enormity since 1854. Generally, it is difficult to count the number of victims after such an event. However, the estimate is always possible. According to the estimate, the number of deaths was more than 280,000 and more than 300,000 people were injured. It was the deadliest disaster Haiti has ever known. The country was devastated. We wondered if one day, if our lives will return to normal. My story brought many people of Haiti much pain because they wondered how we survived and other people died. It was a miracle that we miraculously escaped the disaster. One thing is certain, we are alive today. Turkey just suffered from the same disaster. The number of dead was more than 40,000. In the United States, earthquakes generally happen in the West Coast, like in Alaska, California. However, one of the most active earthquakes is now in Oklahoma. That means it can happen anytime, anywhere. We need to learn how to protect ourselves against earthquakes. It's difficult and even impossible to fight against earthquakes since it is a natural disaster. However, we can minimize that destruction. Some people believe the safest place to be during an earthquake is or in or the way. This is not true. I refuse to believe that the best solution was to go under my bed. But suppose something falls on the roof, then I am in trouble. The best way to protect ourselves against the earthquake is prevention. If we are warned about an earthquake, we need to listen and fight for shelter where we can be protected. We have one life to live. We cannot allow our negligence or ignorance to take it from us. It's time to think about the damages that earthquake can bring to us. Thank you.
All right, thanks, James. So,
Yep.
so thoughts on James's piece about earthquakes?
What is the place that you show in your picture? I mean, it's a real building, I know, but Did you know this place before?
Yes, it's a Port-au-Prince, the capital of Haiti.
Okay. Yeah, I think, James, one of the most important pieces of your story is how it is not limited to Alaska or California, right? That earthquakes can happen many, many places.
It is,
And so
yes.
we have to be prepared for that. I remember the first time I lived in California, the first earthquake I experienced, I did just what James had warned us against, which is going in the doorway. So it was like shaking. So I went to the doorway and then I realized I was on the second floor and I was like, this doesn't really matter if I'm on the second floor. This doorway is not going to protect me. Yeah. So, and I think the reviewers, James, liked the fact that you connected Haiti to Turkey and Oklahoma and Alaska. So it became generally about earthquakes, right? And the danger of earthquakes and not just Haiti. So, so congratulations on the piece. Okay. All right. So we have a few minutes. Any questions for any of our learner writer contest winners about their process or about writing, you know, or about how they approach this? Tips for your own writing or tips for your students possibly that you'd like. I have a question for Andrea. So Andrea, for your poem, did you start with the poem and then find the photo? Or did you start with the photo and then write a poem because of the photo?
I started with the photo, and the photo inspired me to write the poem. See my mom and my siblings when they were little, and all the memories we had. Even though we don't have a lot of luxury, we were really, really happy.
Okay. Right. So in Janet's case, she's actually in nature, right? But here, and that inspired her, but here you see the photo and that inspired you. Irene has a question for all of the writers. How many times did you have to revise your piece? How often did you have to rewrite your piece until you're happy with it for the submission?
For me,
So,
Oh, go ahead, James.
excuse me, for me, I did it about three times
Okay.
because it's a contest. So you have to review it if you can send it or not. Because anytime, I think if I did it 3 times, if I have to do it another time, like 4 times, I'm gonna find something to correct on it
Mhm.
because it's not perfect. It's not perfect,
Right.
but
Right. But
I did it
3 times, right? But it's not homework, so it's not one and done. Because it was a contest, you did it multiple
Ye-
times.
yes.
Okay. Other students, other learner writer, how many times did you revise?
Yeah, I want to say, yeah.
Okay, Janet.
Yeah. For me, that's the first thing is something come in my mind. I can remember and the experience and how I feel, and I write it down. I write down the feeling in a paper,
Mm-hmm.
and then I write a piece, and after that, put away, and the next day, I can think more and more, and change the words and correction something. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a comes there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's yeah. Go ahead, Georgina.
so yeah, for me, just sometimes like Janet said, just wrote down, pieces, some words, and after that, just working on my ideas. But sometimes when I listen music, and like you say before in our before session, just drink a cup of wine or beer or something, that all the ideas just floated. That is a good way also, not all the time,
Yeah.
but yeah, sometimes helps.
Right. So, I mean, I think this is also, you are all good models, right? Because some people think that when people write, it comes to them complete and puts it on the paper, right? But it's work, right? It takes revision, it takes time. So there was a question here from Karen and Joe, which is, how do you choose what type of writing? So why a poem instead of a memoir, right? Why a memoir instead of nonfiction? So how do you choose which type of writing to do?
Can I respond?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead, James.
So, when my teacher told us we have to choose something, it could be a non-fiction story, it could be a fiction story. I say in my mind what I'm gonna write down, because it's a little difficult to know what you're gonna write. And then I say, okay, recently there was a earthquake in Turkey. I think the date it was February. So and then okay, I say, so I can write about the earthquake, the earthquake we experienced Haiti in 2020. So and then I say, okay, I find my subject. I'm gonna write about the earthquake.
All right. And so because it was an earthquake, nonfiction was the best way to share the information that you had learned. All right. Janet and Georgina, how do you decide which type of writing to do?
Yeah, for me, just like the my poem, the maple tree. That's the first that I saw the maple tree. That gave me surprise because I didn't saw in my country. As I come near and closer every day if I get a walk, and after that, in my house, in my foreyard, I have another big trees. That's the maple tree. I called him a hunter them because it's strong and very tall. But in my backyard is another maple tree, but it's different. And in the fall, come out the leaves, change the leaves to, it's not really gold. It's like the bright yellow, and then turned slowly into a little gold, can I say? And the leaves in my lawn, just like oh, it's a gold. I'm so excited, so amazed. What is the nature bringing to us? The happiness, the content, and the beauty. That's I choose the poem because I write down a poem very often in Chinese, but very short, maybe 4 sentences or the 6 sentence. Yeah.
So it just made you feel that way.
Yeah, just. And for my another, I say the Princeton Meadow Park. As I first time visited the park, it is always in my heart. Oh, what is the beauty? What is the difference between this park and compare another park? What is Princeton compare another city? It's totally different. This is the Princeton is so famous, it's so special. That's the country I love. That's make me so enjoy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Andrea, Georgina, how do you know which type of writing to do?
Actually, I choose poetry because
Your dog wants to explain to us why.
I'm so sorry about that. Actually, honeybee is one of the main characters. The characters I wrote that honey can bark. You
Yeah,
can
yeah,
hear
yeah.
the background. So sorry about that. I
Okay.
choose poetry because when you write a poem, you have to put all these emotions, sadness, happiness, frustrations. So for me, it's like the best therapy. Help you to address your feeling, how to cope as situations. So I love poem, and I can say writing a poem is my cup of tea.
Okay. All right. Georgina, last word on this?
Yeah, I really like to write about memories because I have a really good memories when I was child. And sometimes when I share with my kids and say, "Mommy, really that happened?" I mean, because they see me and they say, "Oh, mommy is mommy all the time." I said, "Oh, I was kid like you." So I play with other kids. I have, my grandmas and my mom and my nana. So when I share those kind of stories with them, or they were excited, they say, "Oh, I am going to write down, my feelings." And also, like Andrea says, it's a good therapy.
All right, great. All right, so I'm dropping the link for the PD certificate in the chat. So I want to thank James, Andrea, Georgina, and Janet again for entering the contest and for the good work that they gave us, and congratulations to them. So we'll be sending out you the certificate and the check and the magazine soon enough. Again, thanks to all of you who, as their teachers and tutors, supported them in this process and have made this an ongoing, I think, important part of New Jersey Association for Lifelong Learning's activities. Right, I think the learner writing contest is key, right, because it gives writers an audience, right? And that's what writers need. And hopefully, for our last session, we were talking about encouragement and support, and hopefully, the learner writing contest provides that encouragement and support. So please think about submitting again next year. And then also for teachers and tutors, please encourage your students to continue submitting to the contest. And we're always open for ideas.